appearing in piano bars and cabaret rooms, as well as on the international river cruises and at various resorts. He performs on Tuesday nights at Don't Tell Mama in New York City, on Thursdays and Sunday nights at 16 Prospect in Westfield, and can currently be seen online on Virtual Piano Bar on Friday nights at 6 p.m. He opened for Steve Ross at the 75th anniversary of the Chrysler Building and has been nominated numerous times as Outstanding Piano Bar Instrumentalist by the Manhattan Association of Cabaret. He is also a teaching artist for the Education Department at the Paper Mill Playhouse and the Performing Arts School at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown. If you're there, Joe, please take it away.
Hey guys, Paul, I've got, right?
You got control.
Yeah. There's just a thing I want to do for sound for piano playing.
Yeah, so you've got your original sound turned on. Right?
Turn it on. Okay. So, Don asked me to do a thing where I was going to talk about, my life as a performing pianist. And I kind of got there in a very roundabout way because it all started, I'm going to tell a long story. It all started when I was at my grandparents' house. My grandparents lived in Northeast Philadelphia in row homes. And the houses were, if somebody was playing piano in the house next door, you could hear what was going on. And the woman next door was a woman named Mrs. McCluskey, and she had a piano that was right up against her wall, her living room wall, which was up against my grandparents' living room wall. And I kept saying, what is that sound? What is that sound? And everyone kept saying, oh, it's Mrs. McCluskey. She drinks. And she also likes to play the piano all the time. So one time, we were allowed to go over when she was playing the piano. And she was just going like... And I thought that was so cool. And then one day, because she wasn't a very good pianist, but she loved to play the piano, especially when she drank. And she also loved Elvis Presley. And one day, she is playing like... as she's playing the piano, she's like going like. Could you tell what song that was?
Yep.
Paul, were you able to tell?
Plaisir d'Amour.
She was playing this song. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin? For I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. For I can't help Tom? Paul, how does that sound? Does it sound okay?
It sounded great. Thanks.
Great. So anyway, she loved Elvis Presley, and she was playing the piano. Now, I didn't play the piano, and I didn't realize that I was able to play by ear, because when I heard her play, wise men say only fools rush in, I walked over to the piano, and I went, wise men say only fools rush in. And everyone was like, oh, what is he doing? Meanwhile, I find out, so because I was able to do that, my parents got me one of those little organs that they had in the early 70s, and they gave me this organ to play with. And my grandfather, this house where Mrs. McCluskey lived was my paternal grandparents. My maternal grandfather came over, and he sat down at the organ and immediately played this. I can't give you anything but love, baby. That's the only thing I've plenty of. Baby, dream a while, scheme a while, you're sure to find happiness. And I guess all those things you've always pined for, Gene. I'd like to see you looking swell. Baby, diamond bracelets Woolworths does not sell. Baby, till that lucky day, you know darn well, baby, I can't give you anything but love. Woolworths does not sell, baby, till that lucky day, you know darn well, baby, I can't give you anything but love. I can't give you anything but love. So I was shocked. My maternal grandfather also played by ear, so I realized, okay, this is probably something that I didn't know it at the time, but I later found out this is something, that can happen in families. If somebody's got a natural ear, they have a natural ear. And if they don't, they don't. There's nothing that you can do about it. So that's how pretty much that got me started playing the piano, but I only played by ear. I really didn't take piano lessons because I wasn't really interested in that part of it. And I, kind of went along with all of the usual things in high school, taking, college prep program and everything. And then I decided to go to college for, and I was in high school plays and I was in the choir and stuff. But I thought I was more like an actor. I wasn't really a musician. I thought this is what an actor does. All actors play the piano, I thought. And I didn't realize that was not true. So I go on to college to study occupational therapy. And after 2 semesters of chemistry, biology, calculus, physics, all of the stuff that you have to do to get ready for occupational therapy, I was miserable, and I realized this is not what I want to do. So I decided to change and become, a theater major with a music minor. And I had a great time doing that. And then, so after college, I was a young actor. And what do actors do? They waiter. I would be in a show, I would be on a tour, and then when the show would close, you'd be out of work. So then I would have to do something else, and that would be usually being a waiter. And then one of the times that I was waitering at a place, the place had a piano, and they had a piano player who was okay. He was a pretty good pianist, but I always thought, well, I could probably play better, but whatever, that's the way that the cookie crumbles. But every now and then, after my shift would be over, I would sit down and start playing things on the piano, and just innocuous things. So one night, it was about midnight, we were all done, and I sat down and I went, "It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around and finally found somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, and even be glad just to be sad thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross, or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me the thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. And the owner of the restaurant was like, "Oh, you're pretty good. Why don't you play one night a week?" So I said, "Oh, that'll be fun." So then I was waitering 5 nights a week. So I went to waitering 4 nights a week, and 1 night a week I played. And the other piano player was, I wouldn't say that he was nervous with me playing, but like he was, when I say he was okay, he was okay. A lot of the people that came to the restaurant said, "Oh, why doesn't this waiter play more? He's better than the regular piano player." And that pissed this piano player off so much. And then one night, it was a Saturday night, because I played on Wednesday night. And the other piano player played on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Saturday night, there was a party, and there was a woman at the party that wanted to get up and sing with the piano player. And she called in advance and said, "I'd like to sing with the piano player, is that okay?" And the manager of the restaurant said, "Sure, I don't see what the problem is. You can go ahead and do that." Well, when the woman gets there, she wanted to sing Memory from Cats. You know, the one that goes like, "Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone in the lamplight. The withered leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan. Memory, all alone in the moonlight." Okay, so that's what she wanted to sing. Memory. Every piano player, you need to be able to play 3 things. You need to be able to play "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Bill, happy birthday to you." Happy birthday, Bill. Again, but if you're a piano player, you need to be able to play a couple of things without checking. You need to be able to play Happy Birthday. You also need to be able to play "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming." You need to be able to play the Star Spangled Banner. There's just some basic things, and one of the basic things that you need to be able to play is Memory from Cats. Well, the piano player, the Saturday night, the regular piano player, he didn't know how to play Memory from Cats, but that was okay because the woman had music for it, and she gives it to the piano player, and he said, I can't read this music, I don't know what to do." So the owner of the restaurant came to me and he said, "Hey, can you play this?" And I said, "Sure." And I played for the singer, and I was their waiter, by the way. I was waiting on them. So like I step away from, I'm putting drinks down on the table. "Does anyone want another drink?" "Okay." So then the woman who's in charge of the party comes up with, the 2 of us go up to the piano, we perform, and then we go back, and I'm like, "Does anyone need another drink?" Well, let me just tell you, my tip for that table was huge. because I ended up being the piano player that saved the day. But as a result of that, the regular piano player was so angry that he was embarrassed that the waiter had to get up and play a song for him, that he kind of made an ultimatum to the owner that said, like, he can't play anymore. This is a conflict of interest. So the owner said, you're right, it is a conflict of interest. You're not going to play anymore. So they put me in as the piano player 5 nights a week, which was a lot of fun. And that really got me going, learning a lot more and giving me the opportunity to play and practice, because the way that you get better is by doing what you do. You have to practice a lot as you're going along. So I did, I went along and I got to be a lot better pianist from playing the piano at the restaurant. Then eventually in the late 80s, Nordstrom, the department store chain, was coming to the Northeast, and they had piano players in their stores. So I auditioned to play piano at Nordstrom when they were opening the store in Garden State Plaza in Paramus. And I got hired as one of the piano players. And then I had the opportunity to become the manager of the piano players when the Menlo Park store opened in 1991. And then when Short Hills opened in 95. So as Nordstrom was spreading through New Jersey and the Northeast, I had the opportunity to play the piano and then hire the pianists. And then I even had the opportunity to move into human resources, because I had to take a human resources licensing thing. In order to be a hot person who hires people, you needed to go through these licensing process. And the regional human resource manager thought that I was wonderful and wanted me to move into human resources. So I was kind of having a really good time with it. I was playing piano like 1 day a week, working in a human resources office like 3 days a week. And so I got an opportunity to do all kinds of interesting things. And I even got a chance to buy the pianos, because I was worked at a store that was closest to New York City. Nordstrom, as it was expanding, they needed somebody to go to New York City to the Steinway piano showroom and buy pianos for the new stores that were opening. So I had the opportunity to do that. So I had the most interesting job. I was a piano buyer, I was a piano player, I was a human resources manager. I got a chance to do all these really great things. And I also had the opportunity to start my own little side business, because one of the people who came in to watch me play piano at Nordstrom was the director of operations for a company in New York City that had buildings, and he wanted to put piano players in the lobbies of his office buildings. And he asked me to help him with it. So that was able to start a side business for me. And everything was going along well. And, but then a good thing happened. In about 1998, I was finding that I was not really cut out to be a human resources manager. The primary reason that I moved from being a performing pianist to being a corporate person was because I thought that's what my father wanted me to do. And I know you guys can all, every single man in the world, if you really think about it, what is your relationship with your father like? Did you try to please your father? Did it work? Every one of us has had some relationship with our father where, like, as loving as he may have been or as difficult as he may have been, there was always some tension. And my tension was my father and my brothers were all finance guys. My father was the CFO of a major company. My brother was a tax attorney. My other brother was, they were all really great with finance and business. And here I was in show business. So I thought, well, here, I can show them, and my dad especially, that I can do this. And so I realized partway through, I didn't realize what I was really doing until I was having a hard time with a particular thing in human resources. And they wanted me, the company wanted me to move far away to Seattle to take a position. And I said, and they weren't offering me that much money. And I was like, you want me to leave all of my friends and my family and my whole life to move to Seattle to be a corporate human resources person, and you're not even offering me all that much money. I said, no, I won't do it. And so then my regional manager kind of came to me and she said, well, it seems to me like you're not very happy in your job. And I said, you're right, I'm not. Foolishly, but also I guess it was a good thing that I did that, because 2 days later, she came to me and she said, because you're not happy in your job, I'm going to remove you from your job. Okay? How's that sound? And I was like, but what she did was she punished me. She took me out of my management position as a human resources manager and demoted me to be a pianist in the Menlo Park store. And they kept me at the same salary. So I was making a manager's salary to sit and play the piano, 40 hours a week. And I was like, I was so outraged about this. So I'm telling my my parents. Now, my father was a very quiet man. My talking to him was very basic. Everything he knew about me, he knew from my mom. My mom talked a lot. She listened a lot, and she told my father everything. So everything he knew about his children, he knew from listening to us talk, but then he would talk to my mom about, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I found out that, I told my mom, I feel like I'm disappointing Dad. I've left this, I left this corporate human resources position so that I could be a pianist, and I feel like I'm going to disappoint him. And I found out later, my mother came back to me and said, your father is so upset. Not because you left human resources, the corporate job, he thinks that you were because I was trying to please him. He's upset that you were trying to please him. All he wants is for you to be happy. So that was a real eye-opening thing for me. Even though my father never said to me, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He told my mom, tell him not to do that. Tell him I want him to be happy. I don't want him to, to be doing something other than what he loves. He's able to be successful playing piano or being a corporate human resources manager. It doesn't make any difference what it is. So that was a good thing for me, and I was able to kind of get past it and move into being a pianist who didn't have a corporate job or corporate health benefits. So I moved into being a working pianist full-time, and that meant basically having a lot of different jobs. I had some consulting work, I taught private lessons, I taught in a performing arts school, I worked with the Paper Mill Playhouse in education and outreach, I played piano in piano bars, and I played for people's shows. So I was making money from like 5 or 6 different places, and knock wood, I was able to pay my health insurance, pay my mortgage, pay for a car. It was a miracle that I always had enough. And so it was really a miracle. And it was also, I'm also one of those people that the more you give, the more you get. The whole time too, I continued to give to my church and volunteer. And it seemed like the more I volunteered and the more I gave away, the more came to me. And I've been very, very lucky like that as I went along. One of the things from working in piano bars, I wanted to comment, there's tons of things that happen when you're playing in piano bars. You're playing for a lot of tourists and a lot of industry people in show business, so you never know what you're gonna get. The video that was shown earlier where they had the guys dancing, with the towel, where they were naked behind the towel. You'll be surprised what happens in piano bars sometimes with people make requests. So one time, I'm playing piano and somebody makes a request and they say, some drunk tourist from Germany, I'll give you $100 to take your shirt off and play Danny Boy. And sing Danny Boy. And I was like, for $200, I'll do it in my underwear. And Out comes $200, and I spent. And she said, okay, go ahead and do it. And I said, no, money first. $200 on the piano. Oh, Danny. So I stripped to my underwear. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the leaves have fallen. 'Tis you must go and I must pine. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh Danny boy, I love you so. Thunderous applause. And then as I see, this is what happens sometimes in show business. They make you do terrible things. But it was summertime, and like my underwear was about the size of a bathing suit because it was they were boxers. So I was like, I'm not doing anything terrible. It's like I'm playing piano in a bathing suit. And but still, it was, you'd be surprised what people ask you to do when you're playing in a piano bar. It's they have too much to drink, and they make all kinds of requests going on in there. So I was for the couple of years there, I was able to continue working. I still worked at Nordstrom as a piano player, and I still was getting my benefits from Nordstrom. But then after 9/11 happened, they needed me to either they wanted me to move back into human resources, or the part-time hours of pianist weren't going to be enough for health benefits. So that was when I decided right after 9/11 to leave Nordstrom and to become a full-time piano player and everything. But that's how I had all the different jobs. I've been pretty lucky in that I've had the opportunity to play. I've been hired to play in California and Las Vegas and Florida and all kinds of different resorts, and New Orleans. And I've also had the opportunity to play on some river cruises all through Europe. Those are a lot of fun because I don't know that I would do well on a cruise ship, a big, huge cruise ship where you're playing in a piano bar every night and you're just cruising around the oceans and you're not really seeing anything. When you work on a cruise ship, what happens is, or rather when you work on a river cruise, as you're going down a river and you can see all kinds of beautiful scenery, and the boat stops like once or twice a day in a city, and then you get out and you take a tour, and then you get back on the boat and you go to another city and you take a tour. And then, so you really get a chance to see all kinds of interesting things. My first river cruise went from Amsterdam all the way to Budapest in Hungary. What started in Amsterdam, went down the Amstel River, hooked up with the Rhine River, which starts actually in the Netherlands, and then went all the way through Germany to the Main River, then to the Main-Danube Canal, and then down to the Danube and across. So I basically sailed across Europe and saw magnificent cities and everything. And it was an architecture tour. So we were really focusing on architecture. And one of the great things too was, as a pianist that was hired to play, I had to play every other night. So during the 2-week cruise, I had to play like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. I had to play every other night for an hour and a half, and that was it. The rest of the time, I was treated like a passenger. So I was able to do anything I wanted, and I thought that was so much fun. And then the following year, I was able to do one where we started up in northern Spain on the Douro River near Salamanca, sailed where the Pyrenees mountains come down. The river goes all the way across northern Spain, all the way out to across northern Portugal, out to the Atlantic Ocean. So I saw some beautiful, beautiful things there too. And so I'm spoiled now that I get hired to do some beautiful river cruises. And other opportunities come along. Even though right now we're in this difficult time of with the COVID-19 crisis and so many things being shut, all of my jobs are on pause. All of my teaching positions have been interrupted. The piano bars and restaurants that I work in have all been interrupted. So there's no more live entertainment. And even my business where I have the piano players in New York City, the lobbies no longer have the piano players because the protocols for people coming in and out of the lobbies are very, very strict. So to have a piano player playing while this serious stuff is going on would be kind of inappropriate. It would be like, playing, it would be like on the Titanic playing, I want to be happy, but I won't be happy till I make you happy too. Can I take your temperature as you're coming into the building? It wouldn't be appropriate for right now. So all of my regular jobs are kind of on hold, but I've got, by the miracle of the loaves and fishes, I am able to make it work. I'm currently on unemployment because all of my jobs went, but that's really not enough to do anything. But I'm very blessed because I made some good financial decisions earlier in my life. Like as an artist, taking that corporate gig at Nordstrom made me save a lot of money in a 401k retirement account. And also, I bought my house that I live in Cranford 20 years ago, and I bought it for like nothing, and now it's worth a fortune. And it's paid off, so like I have a home equity line of credit that I can use, God forbid, if I ever needed to. So I have been very lucky as a musician, as a professional musician, to be able to do it, have a good time doing it, be productive, make enough money, and live my life the way that was going to make me happy. And I was also glad that in my father's last years, unfortunately, he had a stroke, and so the last 6 years of his life, he was kind of the stroke happened on the right side of his brain, so he didn't lose his speech, but he lost a lot of insight and stuff like that. But he was still him. It's just that his brain kind of got fried by the stroke. Some interesting things though, he was never an emotional man. He would never cry. After the stroke, if you told him something sad, he would cry. But he also never asked me anything. He would always ask my mom, how's Joe doing? And she would tell him. After the stroke, I would come into, the house, and he'd say to me, hey, how's it going? How's piano playing? How are your friends? What's going on with the world? Blah, blah. He would come right at me and start talking to me like he never talked to me before. So I don't want to say that him having a stroke was a blessing, but oddly, I became closer to him after the stroke because his guard was down and he was way more open with his communication. And one of the things that really pleased me was that he and my mom loved to come to see me perform in various venues. And whenever I would go home, he would ask me about, whatever venues I was playing in and what kinds of things were going on. And so that's the overall story. So I just wanted to sort of, go out to you guys and find out, does anyone have any questions about like this, what I was doing, like how I started from I'm all of a sudden I'm a little bit of everything. I guess it's being willing to make changes as you go along in life. Those are kind of the things. So let me see. Do I have Paul? How's it going to go? Are we going to do questions, or are we going to do comments, or?
Okay, if anyone has any questions for Joe, use your participant box and raise your blue hand. You see we have one hand raised already, and that's Mitch Erickson. Mitch, you want to take it up now? Mitch, you're not mute. You're still muted.
I was unmuted. Anyway, Joe, I'm so glad that you've been able to follow your muse for a career and do what you wanted to do. So many people in life just basically work for a paycheck. And so this is really great. A couple of questions about your quote unquote average night of playing in a piano bar. Can you break down a typical set list in terms of, you know, the decades or the age of songs? Are you playing a lot of oldies? Are you playing anything that was from this century? And also, just a quick one-liner here. What's the most what's the most requested song?
Okay. When I'm playing at a piano bar, particularly Don't Tell Mama in New York City is a theater district piano bar. It's on 46th Street between 8th and 9th. That's what's called Restaurant Row. So there's like all these really cool restaurants. It attracts tons of tourists, like so that after the Broadway shows end at you know, whatever time, you know, Tuesday nights they start at 7, so they get out about 9:30, 9:45, and on other nights they get out at like 10:30. We really don't fill up until about 10:30 at night, and we stay busy until about 3 in the morning. I have to, as a pianist, you have to look at your audience and look what's coming in. If you get, and the piano bar generally gets mostly tourists that are anywhere in between like 30s to 70s are the average, is the average range. So you have a huge range of people, and I'm able to pretty much cater to anybody in that zone. And one of the things I will often do is I will start by playing something like, you know, you come on like a dream, peaches and cream, lips like strawberry wine. You're 16, you're jailbait, and you're mine. You're all ribbons and curls, ooh, what a girl, eyes that sparkle and shine. You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine. So I'll start with something like that, you know, sort of like a late 60s, early 70s pop song, but most people will respond to it because it's kind of bouncy and kind of, you know, jumping along. But then I'll say to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, while it's early on in the evening, I'll say, while it's quiet, if anybody wants to make any requests, like if you want to hear Broadway, pop, rock and roll, country, American standards, or oldies, we'll be happy to accommodate you. So, and when I say oldies, I mean music from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. Oddly, the 80s is over 30 years ago. You realize 1990 was 30 years ago? Oh my God. But also, and American standards could be like Cole Porter, George Gershwin, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hart, Jerome Kern, you know, all like the masters or Irving Berlin, if you want to hear like any of those kinds of standards. So I let them know, and usually somebody will say like, oh, okay, play me a country song. And I'll say, okay. Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots and ruined your black tie affair. I'm the last one to know, the last one to show, I'm the last one you thought you'd see there. I saw the surprise and fear in his eyes America's glass of champagne. I toasted you, said, honey, we might be through, but you never hear me complain, 'cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. I'll be okay. I'm not big on the social graces. Think I'll slip on down to the oasis, 'cause I got friends in low places. Okay, so that's like a Garth Brooks country song that's more modern. But then maybe somebody will ask for a country song that's not modern. So I'll go like, you know, I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you, world. Crazy, I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. So I'll do old-fashioned country or something like that. But what else? Like some songs that like people really request a lot. In the piano bar, of course, they request certain songs, and I often joke, once again, when it comes to, because they're going to tip you. But so I'll often tell people stories. If somebody requests like Memory from Cats, Piano Man, like, you know, it's 9 o'clock on Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic engine. He says, Joe, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La da 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 da. Sing us the song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight, 'cause we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling alright. So they'll often request like both Billy Joel or Elton John things, but sometimes if they request something like a Neil Diamond song, like Where It Began, I can't begin to know it, but then I know it's growing strong. Request Sweet Caroline. Sometimes I will say to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, I see here, and they'll write their requests on the little cocktail napkins. I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, I have a request here for Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline is one of those piano bar songs like Piano Man, Memory from Cats, Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. All those songs, they would be better, you know, those requests would be better written on a $100 bill. But, you know, for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Well, one time I was playing piano in a piano bar, not in New York City, in Key West. And there was a group of tourists from the Ohio State University administrators. There were 70 of them. And all week long, they were at the conference center that was right near the piano bar in the southernmost resort in Key West. And every night when they would be heading back from dinner, after they would finish their day of conferences, they would go out to dinner on Duval Street, and then they would walk back to the hotel. And when they were walking back to the hotel about 9:30 or 10, they would lean in and say, in the door and say, at the end of the week when we're done, we're going to come in and ask you to play Sweet Caroline. So I said, okay, I'll see you on Friday, Monday, Tuesday. When they keep coming in, we're going to ask you to play Sweet Caroline. So Friday night at about 9 o'clock, they were done with their conference. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know how many of them there were. About 10 people come running in. Oh, we're here, play Sweet Caroline. So I said, okay. Where it began, I can't begin to know. Well, they had a wonderful time. About 5 minutes later, a van pulls up outside with 10 more people. And they come running in. Did he play Sweet Caroline yet? And apparently there were 70 of them, and they were being dropped off 10 at a time in 7 different vans. So the next van pulls up with 10 of them. Did he play Sweet Caroline yet? And I said, guys, I've already played Sweet Caroline once, and Sweet Caroline is one of those piano bar songs that request is better written on a $100 bill. And since I've already played it once, there's no way I'm playing it a second time. The leader of the group comes up with a $100 bill. Sweet Caroline. Where it began. 5 minutes later, the third van pulls up with the next group of 10. They come running in. Did he play Sweet Caroline yet? I said, guys, I have played Sweet Caroline twice. There's no way I'm playing it a third time. The leader of the group, $100 bill. Sweet Caroline. Where it began. I played Sweet Caroline 7 times in 45 minutes, and I made $600. So I said to them, you want to hear it again? As many times as you want it, I'll play it. Don, you've heard that joke before.
Yeah, right.
My famous Sweet Caroline joke. But does that answer the question about like favorite songs and like what do they ask me to play?
Sure, yeah.
They do ask. People will ask me to play everything. Like people will want things that are more from today. So then all of a sudden you'll hear. Have to do Adele. I heard that you settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. So you have to do a little bit of everything. You got to do a little. But luckily, I'm working with 3 other singers. There's 2 people on the floor and 2 bartenders. So I've got 4 people working with me who are all singers, boy singers and girl singers, and they range in age from their mid-20s to 50. So I can choose between 2 boy singers and 2 girl singers who are going to be able to sing anything if I give them an oldie or if they want to hear something new that's like playing on the radio today.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm sorry to jump the queue here, but in honor of our new member who joined today, Paul Groom, who actually recently gave us 3 separate presentations all about the Beatles and the early years. He grew up in Liverpool with them. So the question for you is, what is the most popular Beatles song that is ever asked for?
Most popular Beatles song, probably "Hey Jude," "Let It Be," but there's also depending on the audience, if they're a little bit more astute, we have a gal who works with us named Elaine Breyer who does a thing with All Together Now, and she starts up by saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to do a song for you from Yellow Submarine, side 1, song 3. Red, white, green, red. It's like, all together now, all together now, all together now. It's a visual joke where she's got like these signs and she makes the audience read along, but all you have to read along to is all together now. That's pretty easy. But, another one that people often like to hear is yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. So, like, depending on the people, you know, Beatles songs are, they love all of them. So we get requests, and there's one of the girls that I work with, Elaine. She is a Beatles expert. You ask for any Beatles song, she's ready for it.
Thanks.
Well, Ivan, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Fantastic performance. I would just like to say that I'm totally amazed by people like you who can play by ear. I was a clarinet player in my earlier life. I could play anything given in front of me. Ask me to play anything without music, totally lost. So I'm just amazed by your talent and the ability that you have. That was my comment.
Thank you so much. I can also, by the way, I learned how to read music by playing in piano bars because I was able to play by ear. But what happened would be I also learned how to play with chords. Most music is broken down into even classical music. You can see, like, you know, by theory what key you're in and what kind of chords are being used to recreate the sound. And from reading people's music and playing along with chords, I eventually learned, I was able to watch, oh, that's what it sounds like, that's what it looks like on paper. So I eventually began to be quite a good reader of music. I think I'm a terrible sight reader, but everyone that I work with thinks that I'm good. But I am able to read music, thank God, because there's lots of times when you have to, if you don't know the song at all.
Rich, you're next.
Yeah, I'd like to know what your personal favorites are that you like to play. And as part of that, do you sit down in your own room and entertain yourself sometimes with some of your own personal favorites?
Interestingly, I generally don't, because I don't have to sit down by myself, because in normal times, I have the opportunity to play live 4 nights a week. And by having the opportunity to play 4 nights a week, I'm able to really get out whatever it is that I want to do. I can play in front of the audience. As a matter of fact, I can even practice in front of the audience. If I'm trying to learn a new song and I don't really know it, I'll be sort of, futzing around with it just by going, like, No, I'm not playing anything right now. I'm just sort of feeling my way around, and you can sort of feel your way around and try to find the way that the song goes, and people won't know that you're not playing anything. They think, oh, this is kind of nice because it's kind of got a beat to it, but I'm not really playing anything. I'm just sort of like exercising the keyboard and trying to find, like when I'm trying to, if I wanted to learn, for instance, Moon River, I wouldn't necessarily, if I didn't know how Moon River went, I know in my head it goes, Moon River, wider than a mile. So sometimes I might go, and then when people can't really tell, but I'll just be sort of like faking it. Moon River, wider than a mile. I'm crossing you in style someday. Old dream maker. Now, so you probably can't tell that I'm faking it, but if I was going to play it for real, I'd really work on it so I could go. So I am able to rather than just play by myself, I'm able to play usually in front of people. Oddly, since this the crisis has began and I don't have the opportunity to play live that much, I actually have to practice at home. If somebody asks me to play a song that I don't know, I'm like, I'm gonna have to practice. I haven't practiced in 30 years because I haven't had to. But in the past 3 months, a couple of people have asked me to play things, and I've been like, okay, the only way I'm going to get it ready to play it is by actually practicing it at home. My favorite, I think you asked also what my favorite song is to play. That changes depending on my mood. In general, some really favorite songs that I have are, interestingly, by Jerome Kern, because he wrote beautiful melodies. And he also worked with Dorothy Fields and Oscar Hammerstein a lot. And they both wrote lyrics that matched his music so beautifully. And this is probably my favorite song ever. Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel the glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. Oh, but you're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight. With each word, your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight. That's probably currently my favorite song, The Way You Look Tonight. Did I answer?
Don, you're next.
Okay, are we going to have more questions after mine or? Well, anyway, fantastic presentation, Joe. As I knew you would, I knew you had the incredible talent, and I'm so delighted to have had the chance to invite you. And I'm also very surprised, because I didn't know this, that you play by ear and learn by ear, played right from the start by ear and really never took lessons. Like many of the old guard members, I suspect I'm similar in that I played 3 instruments since from grade school up, one at a time. And I took lessons on all 3. And I never really got very good at it, any of them, unfortunately. But as a person who never minded being before audiences, I often thought about, being able to play professionally. But now that I see what a great job you can do, having played by ear and your natural talent, I know now why I never really tried it. And I know that leaving the professional playing to people like yourself, and particularly to you, is what I should do, because it's so enjoyable, and I really appreciate your being here. I don't know if we're going to have more questions, but
Well, I just want to say, when you were about the musical ability thing, that a lot of people, I think that most people have got innate musical ability, but they don't, because life is busy. It's, even when you're a kid, you're busy with studies and you're busy with your family and helping them and everything. And especially if you grow up, if you weren't in an affluent situation, there's not a lot of time and money to be wasted on things that aren't that are too artistic. You're going to focus on life rather than piano lessons. So a lot of times there's not necessarily a piano in the house to practice on or something like that. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of people though. My grandfather, who lived to be 94, he didn't start playing piano until he was about retired, like 68. He didn't even know he was able to play by ear until he sat in front of a piano and was able to play it. He said, oh, somebody said to him, can you play Happy Birthday? So he said, okay. That's how it started for him. And everyone was like, well, how are you doing that? And he said, well, that's how it goes. What do you mean, well, how am I doing that? So to him, it was natural. But he didn't start till late, and he became very good. But I guess you'll come to think of it, you are right. You can either play by ear or you can't.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have time for a few more questions?
Sure.
Okay. Poppy, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi, my two daughters started very early in life playing violin at the age of 2, and they became well, and they took good lessons and they became well. And then in the world of career, they sort of became too career minded, and they stopped playing. And why that happened? Why that?
I think depending on what age they stop, there's a natural thing that happens that when you're young that makes you focus on other things. I stopped playing for a while too. When I played and I thought my playing was a novelty. I thought, okay, everyone can do that. So when I focused on being an actor, I didn't play the piano, except, at a party I'd play a little bit or something like that, because it was like a party trick that I was able to do it. And I thought that in my head, I thought everyone can do this. It's a party trick. It's like, can you shuffle cards? Most people can shuffle cards, or most people can do some basic things. And I didn't realize that it was that my ability was a little bit more than that. Even when I went into my corporate gig, I thought, well, piano playing, even though I knew I was a pretty good piano player, I thought, in my head, I thought, I want to please my father and brothers. I want to be a corporate executive to show them that I can do it. And then I realized, no, you have to do what your heart calls you to. Sometimes your heart gets pulled away by another interest. The girls may have been, if they were teenagers, they may have been pulled away by science or technology or something that interested them more.
They were still art. I mean, the English and public health and things like that. Not totally.
Oh,
but
really?
They're engrossed in it. They're teaching. So
it's also difficult to envision making a career as a musician, because you have to be really good in order to make a basic living.
Yeah.
And most people aren't really good. They're okay. So maybe that disappoints people. They don't want to be a starving artist. They want to have a job where they can make money.
I have a quick comment along that line, Poppy. I was a violin player in grade school, but when I got to 10th grade, I was also a pretty good student, but we started football, and I decided being on the football team and actually being captain of the football team wasn't compatible with being a violin player. So I had to give up the violin.
Actually, I have a selfish interest in saying that, because when I was a kid, I was a good artist, painter. And then I went into science and mathematics and engineering, and I didn't do anything. Now, at the age of 75, I'm returning back to painting, and I enjoy it, and I hope that I can make it.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
never.
Thank you.
I often tell people my grandfather played as well as me, but he didn't. He started when he was 68. It took him until he was about 80 before he was able to play as well as me. But then he got another. You know, he lived to 94, so he got a good 15 years of being really good out of it.
Jim
Thank you
Lynn?
very much.
Jim?
Yes, very enjoyable. The question I had is like on the business side of this, do you, like all these different songs that you play, do you have to pay some kind of royalties for paying them or playing them, or how does that work?
It works because all the live music venues, they pay what's called ASCAP and BMI fees. ASCAP, American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, and BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated. Between the two of those organizations, they both take care of all of the publishing houses and everything. So if you pay live music fees, you're kind of paying a basic thing, giving you the ability to play anything you want in a public domain. And as long as it's not a show, if you're going to be playing a show, then you need to get additional rights specifically for that show. But if it's just general music performance, you pay the basic fees, and then those fees get shared among all composers. And it's not terribly expensive. It's a couple. It depends on the size of your venue and how many. There's a couple of guidelines. It depends on if you are charging people to listen to the music, if you're selling stuff like food or alcohol, what your sales are, what your capacity is, how many people are coming in. So you can have ASCAP and BMI fees as low as a couple $100 a year, or as much as $10,000, $12,000 a year.
Okay, thank you.
Haas?
Good morning. Thank you. Joseph, thank you very much for your educational performance. In your view, how has the piano bar scene changed? Because now some of the music you played, sort of legacy music, depending on the population. And except for some iconic groups like the Beatles and singers like Neil Diamond, young people, when you go to piano bar, how popular are they? What do you see going forward, growth of the piano bars, the kind of music which we reminisce on, our generation?
The music that is played in piano bars gets updated as time goes by. You always have to add things from the newest Broadway shows that are coming out, like Hamilton. We have to add new things as they are being developed. But interestingly, the American standards, the music from the early first half of the 20th century, is a very, very heavy magnet for singers, even for young singers. They all love all of those standard songs. When if you start playing for them, Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. They think, oh, that's a new song. To them, they don't realize that Blue Moon was written in 1938. They think that it's a catchy sort of American type song. So what happens in the piano bar scene is you always have to focus on the old standards as the basis of what's going on, and old Broadway as the basis of what's going on. But then, also add a little bit onto the top as you're going. So, and also depending on the age of the pianist, because I'm older, I'm able to focus back on some of the old stuff and also play the new stuff. Some of the younger pianists, they don't know the old stuff. They focus only on stuff that started in like, they think music from the 80s is old. Oh my God, way back in, in 1985, when Les Miserables, or, when like, they think a song from like Les Miserables, like, I dreamed a dream in time gone by, when hope was high and life worth living. They think a song from Les Miserables is like, Puccini or Verdi. They think it's the equivalent of what we think of as opera from 100 years ago. They look at 30 years ago, when you're 30 years old, 30 years ago is a long time musically. But but as piano bars do change to get for the newer music, but luckily there's always that basis of the old music that people love to hear. And the middle centuries of the 20th century that created like rock and roll, people also love to hear all of that stuff, You don't remember me, but I remember you. 'Twas not so long ago, you broke my heart in two. Tears on my pillow, pain in my heart, caused by you. People love to hear those kinds of songs too. So I find it easy to be able to play all the old stuff, and if I don't know the new stuff, I just use music and I play it for the singers.
Art Patchett,
Let's make this the last one before we close out.
Okay.
Art, you got to unmute yourself.
While we're waiting on that, we do have an announcement that I forgot to, and so before we close out, John Tomaszewski, can you give your announcement?
Hello, it's Art Patchett.
Okay, Art.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can ask your question.
No, I didn't have any question.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed the presentation. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, John Tomaszewski, can you unmute yourself?
I don't see him in the meeting anymore.
John left.
Okay, well then in that case, Don, why don't you close us out?
Okay, again, Joe, a fantastic job, very enjoyable. And I'm just absolutely delighted that you were willing to come and perform for us today, because I know it raised the hearts and spirits of a lot of us. And I wish you the best in being able to get it back to doing your live music that you do so well. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe, if you're willing to stick around, there may be a couple of more questions, but officially we are closed, and we will be moving into timely topics in a little bit. Are there other questions on sort of this rump session, so to speak?
Let's do an old guard salute. Everybody can unmute. Everybody can unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Was a good program?
Yeah. Summertime. I love it.
That's a giant old bar now.
Okay, if we don't have any questions of
Fred?
Don, then Joel, do you have something?
Yeah, Fred, you had a question, Arnold?
Yes, thank you, Joel. Great performance, thank you. Enjoyed it. When you're performing, a two-part question. what sort of playlist do you go in with in terms of what at least your plan is prior to playing? And then secondly, how do you vary that based on how you read the crowd? How do you look to engage the crowd and go with the mood of the crowd based on what you're playing to draw them in?
You can, in a piano bar, you can almost never have a playlist. You have to, I mean, you could theoretically, but the way that I operate, you can't have a playlist. I will start with something that's generally up-tempo or something that's sort of like got a good beat to it and a good sound, so that the audience can sort of like feel what I'm doing. Like this. Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in a sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me. So I'll play a song like that to get started. And then I will watch the audience to see how they're reacting. Sometimes early on, like at, whatever, 9, because I start at 9. Sometimes 9 or 9:30, there's not that many people yet because the Broadway shows haven't gotten out yet. So you kind of have to.
And they haven't been drinking much.
Yeah, well, and they haven't had that. That's true. And so they're kind of just sort of listening, and they're being quiet, or they're still talking. They're not really into it yet. So, and that's also when I say to them, I'll usually say, while it's slow, between like 9 and 10:30, it's slowish in there. And so I'll say to them, hey guys, if anyone wants to hear anything particular, and I give them the topics of Broadway, pop, rock and roll, country, American standards, or oldies, and I'll say to like, so everyone gets to choose, and I'll point to the first table. What are you feeling? Oh, well, and sometimes they'll have a song or a topic right away. They'll say Broadway, or they'll say oldies, and if they say oldies, I'll say 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Oh, 70s. Okay, and then, so then I'll go into like a 70s song. So I will ask the audience, and if they don't respond, I'll just play something else and see if I can get them. But I'll also look at them and see, okay, these are people in their 40s. These are people in their 50s, or I've got a wide variety. So I'm gonna try some Broadway, I'm gonna try some pop music and see how they feel. So it's really not a set list. It is you have to use your musical knowledge to just sort of choose things. And luckily, I have a freakishly large memory for songs and lyrics. I don't really need music for a lot of stuff because once I've heard it, I know what it's shaped like. Like, if I know what the shape of the song is, like if you were gonna play summertime and the living is easy, fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking. I know what that's shaped like, so I can just play it. And as long as I have the lyrics in my head, I can do it. So I've got like thousands of songs that are just all in here that I can use as a basis. And if somebody asks for a song that I don't know, thank goodness for technology. With my iPad, I can bring up any song in the world that I need to find. I used to have to use, I had a stack of books this big. Musicians use things called fake books. So I had a Broadway fake book, a pop rock fake book, a jazz fake book, a standards fake book. It's like all of these tons of songs that have just got like the notes and the chords that a musician can use to recreate it. That's what I used to have to carry, but now I can just bring my iPad and it will have all of the music that I need very easily in case I do not know a song and somebody requests that.
Great, thank you.
Joe, you just snuck up on a question I wanted to ask you. It's a crazy question. How many songs would you estimate you have in your head?
I don't know because sometimes somebody will ask for a song and I don't realize that I know it.
Yeah.
Because like, somebody asked for one time, somebody asked me to play Babyface. And I was like, I remember my grandfather saying, "Baby face, you've got the cutest little baby face. Baby face, you've got the cutest little baby face. There's not another one to take your place. Baby face, my poor heart is jumping. You sure have started something, baby face." And I realized, oh, I know that song. I didn't know that I knew that song, but you know, but there's also tons of songs that you don't realize that you know, like you put your right hand. Somebody asked me to play the Hokey Pokey. I never played the Hokey Pokey, but I know how the Hokey Pokey goes. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you take it all about. You realize that if you can sing it, if I can sing it, I can play it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mitch, you want to?
Yeah, hey, Joe, I've occasionally been in piano bars, and the drunker they get, the more they want to hear their school's fight song. And when you talked about the Ohio State guys down in Key West, do you have to play various fight songs, especially in, well, not this year, but in other years when?
No one has ever asked for that. And as a matter of fact, these people from Ohio State, they were administrators from Ohio State, so they weren't students, and they were all like, and they weren't teachers either. They were all like secretaries and operations directors, like all of the non-teaching positions at Ohio State. It was like, support staff type stuff.
So
and
can you play the Ohio State theme song right now?
I don't know it.
We stumped him.
Oh my God! I would have to look up.
Hum a few bars, Mitch.
I don't know it either right off. I'd recognize it. I mean, I know Notre Dame, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, a bunch of those guys.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm not a college football aficionado, so I don't really know that much, except that I know that the big between like Purdue and Duke and Ohio State, like there's these like rivalries that are like, ah!
Joe, I'm so envious of your ability to play by ear. Can you transcribe into any key, or do you like to stick to any particular keys?
I can usually, yes, I can transpose if I know it. But for instance, as a pianist, if something's in the key of C, I can very easily transpose it to like to G, like that. And that usually works because if you have a girl singer and you're singing a song in the key of C, if you move it like down a fourth, which is G, it will usually work for a girl singer. Or I can also, if I can play it in the key of C, I can usually play it in F, G, B flat, E flat. But if you ask me to go to B or E or F sharp, I say, I need time.
Oh, you make me feel a bit better about it.
Oh, because E for me, the key of E, F sharp, A, and B are both, I don't hear them fast. I feel them fast because it's not just hearing it, it's also the shape of it on the keyboard. The shape of it isn't natural to me. The keys that are easy for me to play in are C, E flat,
yep.
F,
yep.
G,
yep.
and B flat.
Yeah.
And everything else, I mean, A flat, I'm pretty good.
I think it's him. Alan Chenoweth.
I think he's from the.
Okay, it's about 11:45. I think we really have to call the meeting right now because we've got timely topics coming up. Want to give it about a 5-minute break and then we'll come back for timely topics.
Perfect.
Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
all. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe.